Hello everyone, hope that you are good. Today we will discuss some of the important terminology which are used in the research. These terminology include research problem, research objectives, research question, and hypothesis. As you know that the first and most important step in research is to identify the research problem. And you know that this is the first step of the research process, that identification of the research problem is actually the start of the research project. So what the research problem means, actually the research problem means that what the researcher want to solve, or what are the question that the researcher uh, wanted to answer, or which the researcher wishes to answer. So a research problem may be defined as actually it is a gap in the existing knowledge of the research area, or any problem that researcher investigate by using scientific method is called a research problem. So generally a research problem is actually a gap between the existing knowledge and the researcher want to investigate that problem by using a scientific method. So there must be a statement of the problem in the research work. A statement of the problem or problem statement is actually a concise description, a concise explanation of an issue or problem to be addressed in the research project. And this problem statement actually it identifies the gap between the current state of knowledge and the one that the researcher desire to investigate. So the statement of the problem briefly addresses the important question like what is the research problem that the that the research project will be addressed. So let's take an example in order to clarify these terminologies. For example, there is a research project in which the researcher want to investigate that how the professional training will affect on the communication skill of the elementary school teacher. So far, the title of this research project will be Effect of Professional Training and Communication Skill of Elementary School Teacher in FG School of Islamabad. So this, we will give this as an example, and now we will explain the terms on the basis of these example. For example, statement of the problem is actually, it is the statement of the problem is actually based on the research title, the proposed title. And this statement of the problem is actually consisted of a single statement, and this statement actually gives the direction to the researcher about the research journey. So it must be always clear, it must be simple, and the problem statement must be understandable. So for the above mentioned example, this problem statement will be to determine the effect of professional training on communication skill of elementary school teacher over a period of 3 years in FG School of Islamabad. So this is problem statement which is based on the above mentioned example. Now the research objective. And generally research objectives actually describes that what the researcher expect to achieve by a research project. So the objective actually summarizes uh, what is to be achieved by the study by the researcher. And remember the research objective, it is always closely linked, or it is always closely related with the statement of the problem. It is based on the statement of the problem. And remember that there may be more than one research objective for a research project. Research objective may be one, maybe two, maybe three. It depends on the situation. And it also depends on the scale and the depth of the statement of the problem. How broad the statement of the problem statement is. But remember, there must be at least one research objective per every research problem. So for every research problem or for every research study, there should be at least one research objective. And research objective, for writing research objective, the researcher must always use these verbs like measure, classify, compare, contrast, assess. So these terms will be, research objective will be start from these terms. Some example of the research objective related to the above mentioned statement of the problem are given below. To assess the effect of professional training on written communication skill of elementary school teacher. So this is the objective of the research, are to examine the area of communication skill of elementary school teacher influenced by professional training. So these are the objective which is based on the research project which is mentioned in the above slide, that how professional training affect the communication skills of the elementary school teacher. So far, it must be essential that the objectives must be always start from these words: to measure, to find out, to classify, to compare. So research objective may be started from these words. Research question, any question that the researcher want to investigate is actually called the research question. The research question are based on the research objective. So research question is always based on the research objective. And actually the research question deals a more detailed explanation of the problem statement. It is actually the description of the problem statement. And remember, there may be one or more research question per one research objective. It depends on the depth or breadth of the research objective. But there always be at least one research objective. There will be at least one research question for each research objective. So for second research objective, which is mentioned above, the following research question can be formulated. For example, is there any change in specific component of the communication skill of elementary school teachers as a result of professional training? And it will be followed by this side. Or we can also formulate a research question like, what is the change in written communication skill of elementary school teacher after professional training? Means that after getting a professional training, what changes in written communication skill of the elementary school teacher resulted? Or we can also formulate a research question like, is there any change in verbal communication skill of elementary school teacher after professional training? That after professional training, is there any change in the verbal communication? So this is another research question. Or how the non-verbal communication skill of elementary school teacher is affected after professional training. So research question should be formulated like this. Hypothesis is a statement that predicts about a relation or difference between two or more variables. There are two types of hypothesis. Hypothesis is actually the statement which is given by the scientist, and this is actually the possible solution of it predicts that what will be happen. There are two types of hypothesis: null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis state that no statistically significant variation exists between two variables in a given condition. Null hypothesis always show that in the variable there is no statistical difference. Null hypothesis is actually denoted by H, and this is pronounced H naught. And null hypothesis means that and the two variables which are used in the research study, the two variables have no differences. There is no differences, no statistical differences, no statistical variation between the variables in the research study. Alternative hypothesis is example of null hypothesis for the above mentioned research objective are given below. This is the null hypothesis. It is denoted by H naught, and it means that there is no statistically significant difference in written communication skills of elementary school teacher, those who took professional training and those who did not. So null hypothesis means that the professional training have no effect on the written communication skill of the elementary school teacher. It means that those teachers uh, who get professional training and those who did not get a professional training both have the same written communication skill. So null hypothesis means that there is no statistically significant difference between the two events or two variable. Alternative hypothesis is it is actually the alternative form, and it shows that there exists a statistically significant difference between two variables in a given condition. Example of alternative for evaluation research objective are given below. There exists a statistically significant difference in written communication skill of male and female elementary school teacher after attending a professional training. So it means after getting a professional training, there must be significant differences in the written communication skill of those teachers who attends the professional training and those who did not attend the professional training. So this is the alternative and it is denoted by HA. It is mean alternative hypothesis. A hypothesis is accepted or rejected. It is always based on statistically result obtained after data analysis. As we have already mentioned in the research process that experimentation phase have three steps: data collection, data analysis, and final conclusion. So after data collection, data will be analyzed, and then the researcher draw a conclusion that whether the null hypothesis will be accepted or rejected. If null hypothesis is accepted, that it means there is no differences in variation between two factors. If alternative hypothesis is accepted, so it means that there is differences in the variation of the two factors. So all these about these terminologies. Thank you.